Before I screwed up my paint job on the airplane, I had the numbers laid out on the left side, and it was when I went around to the right side that I realized I had trouble with the paint as I started to lay those numbers out. Well, anyway, I wound up painting over everything there, painting over the whole airplane and dripping the left side good. Well, I decided I would do it a little bit different. I've come over up here to the basement and I laid out some poster board. I laid out my numbers on that. I've got them slanted just 1 inch in the 12 inches and they slant towards the tail. This one here will be for the right side and that one over there will be for the left side. And what I'm going to do now is I'll cut out these numbers and leave them attached down here at the bottom, and that way I can line up the top with my line on the fuselage that I put on there. And then I'll put some double-sided sticky tape on the back side of the numbers here so they can stick up on the fuselage, and I'll leave it attached here at the bottom, and then I can just tape around the numbers, around the perimeter of the numbers, or mark them off anyway. Then I don't have to do all the measurements and everything on the fuselage itself. Well, here's my number templates all cut out and laid out on the floor here. They don't look too bad. I just did a little modification on the 9s. I pretty much had square 9s on there, and I decided I didn't like the looks of those. Yeah, that's what they were, like that, which was acceptable, but not as nice looking. So I rounded the 9s off a little bit there, as you can see, and I just made those in a different piece of poster board and then glued them on, cut the old ones off and glued those on in their place. Well, that looks a lot better. Still might do a little bit to the P. Maybe I'm going to round those corners off on the top of the P a little bit, but they look pretty much like the one on the airplanes. I got the numbers laid out and taped off, and the stripe laid out and taped off, and I masked the fuselage both sides. I went over the stripe and the numbers with some 400 grit sandpaper and took the gloss off of the paint. Anyway, I'll get that cleaned up and go mix up some black, and by the time that's done, this acrylic clean should be flashed off and be ready to squirt some finished black on there. Well, there it is with 2 coats of black on there. All of that work for 20 minutes worth of spray painting. I'll have to let that sit now for a couple hours, a little more, and pull the tape off of there. And then we'll see how it looks once we get the tape off. Polyurethane paint says tape free after 3 hours, so I was hoping I could get that tape off there after 3 hours on this, but I went ahead and looked up the material sheet for this Del Star, and it says at least 6 hours, and this stuff it's not tacky, but it's still soft, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it on there. I went ahead and took all the rest of the masking off the fuselage on the outside, and I even took the masking off in the cabin, the cockpit compartment. Got that off, try to get as much tape off of everything as possible. I guess I'll let it sit overnight, figure out something else to do for a while, make sure that stuff is good and set up before I try to take that tape off of there. Well, I got the tape all off here on the left side, and it actually looks pretty good. I wished I'd have had a auto body supply store around here close so I could have got some fresh tape for that. The stuff that I did get, the real thin fine line stuff I got from the auto body or from the Napa store here, worked better than the stuff I got from the hardware store. That stuff didn't make the best pull away, but we did okay. Got most of it nice sharp lines. There's a few places where it pulled, but well, there she is, sitting outside in the sunshine in all its glory, all painted nice and bright yellow. The stripes on and the numbers on, and from 20 feet away they don't look too bad. All in all, I'm pretty disappointed in my paint job. Spent a day sanding down this left side here after I got the runs in it and sags in it. And I got the worst of those out, but you can still see those through the next coat of paint that went over the top of it. I should have ordered some masking tape, some regular automotive style masking tape from the body shop, I guess. I thought this stuff that I got from the hardware store would work, but it just doesn't seal tight enough and it doesn't come off with clean lines. I did get some fine line, 1/4 inch wide, I think, masking tape from the Napa store here. I don't know how old it is. It wasn't perfect, but where I did use it, I did get cleaner lines than what I got with that other stuff. And here's looking at it from the right side, and the right side is better, if only because it doesn't have a lot of runs in it and stuff like the left side does. Well, we'll take it up to the basement and get it in there where we can start putting everything together on it, but I'm going to leave it sit out here in the sunshine for a while first and help cure that paint up. It's supposed to be hot and dusty here for a few days, so that'll help cure that paint a little bit more and get it a chance to harden up before I get in there and start working on it. One of the things that I learned is that a person probably should unmask or put tape over and then put another layer of tape over where you're masking when you put this polybrush and poly spray and poly finishes on. What happens is that forms a nice uniform coat over everything, but it forms it right over your masking tape and everything too. So when you try to go to pull the masking tape off, that vinyl is all formed over that, and it winds up pulling off and tearing way out away from where you're masked it off. Now it's not going to hurt anything on this part because this all gets cut out here for an access hole for that thing anyway, but there is a spot in there on the door that kind of got tore away a little bit.